Hello, we're back in Terrain Builder. We're going to look at the shapes this time, the Shapes tab, which is in your Layers Manager, Shapes. So if you remember, we've done a little bit of processing on our surface mask. We're going to revisit that right now. And the sat map, we did a little bit of editing, and last time we refreshed content from source. So we're going to do that again, but with the surface mask. So I'm going to switch over to GIMP. And maybe just correct something from last time or enhance the knowledge that we already have. The process we're about to do expects your surface mask colours to be there before you paste it in. So, reminder, let's go back to our layers. And if you remember, we added a section of broadleaf dents. But we did it in a bit of a naughty way because we drew it straight on the layer. What we should have done was created a new layer and put it on there. So let's do that. Leave that one there for now. So what I'm going to do is a process where we can create a shape layer in Terrain Builder and then import it into GIMP and use that to generate surface mask. So here's our previous version, look, with the naughty drawn on. The more correct way to do it is to go to your shapes, create a shape layer, and we'll call it Forest 1. So this video is making your first forest. Forest 1. Alright, and we'll plant it right next to that other one. I'm drawing a polygon, which I selected up here. So, shapes. Now what we can do is export that shape and load it into your surface mask so that you could then, if you wanted to, process it further. And arbitrary rule, I can't tell you why, but what you will do now then is right click and choose the surface texture that you want this area to have. So we'll go Conifer Common, this one. This has very little impact anywhere else. This appears to just be a reference for doing this particular process. But what it does is, so shapes, and drawn my shape, given it a texture, and now when I go to File, Export, Shapes to Imagery, it'll let me create a PNG, and in fact if I browse to it, and I'm going to put it in Maps, Avebury, Source, Shape Files. So again, you want to group your files by type if you can. And we'll call this Forest. Okay. Right, let's look at the shape files. There it is, Forest. So if I open that in GIMP, okay, what we've got effectively is a copy of the layer that we just created, or the shape that we just created in Terrain Builder. So the application here is that the mask that you get provided by QGIS, it's a mask, but it ain't going to be the mask that you use for your game, because if there happens to be a car park in that place, what you might not want it to be a car park, you might want it to be a plantation, or all kinds of different combinations. But the point being, the mask you have right now may not be the one you have in the final map, because you'll be editing quite a lot on top of it. Okay, so the process that I use is to firstly check the colour, 232, 239, 33, and we're doing Conifer Common, aren't we? 232, 239, 33. Right, let's just make sure that that colour already exists in our index. Well, it's yellow, so I can see that it doesn't. So I'm going to add that. Oh, it's added it from the so that's even easier. Let's just check. 91, 90, no. 232, 239, 33. 232, 239, 33. Right, okay. So this is the layer we just exported. So just a little trick. Don't know how you do it in Photoshop, but I'm going to go layer, color to alpha, take away all the black, but that actually makes it a bit opaque, a bit transparent. So drop the threshold back down to 0. Double check. Right, that's still our colour. So now I can copy that, edit copy, and in my surface mask, edit, paste as new layer, and there it is, nice and neat. Point being, it's on its own layer. You see how the original was a bit, it shouldn't be there, should it? But you can build up loads of layers with different areas. So when I file save and file export as my surface mask, so once you've created the shape layer, just take away its texture, otherwise Terrain Builder will moan at you. And then go to rasters, and we changed our surface mask, so refresh content from source, and there it is now in the map. The shape is overlaid on top of it, so let's hide that. Now you can use that shape, reuse it, so shapes creates a file of the shape obs, so you can use it in your image editors. You also use it in Terrain Processor, which is a whole other subject. So we're going to push on and do our first forest without Terrain Processor. So using the inbuilt method of doing it, it'll let you sketch out where your forests might be. But yeah, you'll want to do Terrain Processor at a later date. So, okay. Right, so we have prepared the ground, shall we say, for our forest. We've got a broadleaf dense area, and we've got a conifer common area, so pine trees here, hardwood trees here. Trees. We need trees. Okay, so we're in our test map. So template libraries, that's where all your models and all your assets, everything that goes into the map, houses and all that stuff. So on a big project, you're going to want to be organised. So organising yourself, organising your template libraries is sort of down to the individual, but we're here right at the beginning, so we can be quite simple. I'm going to create library, and it's going to be called trees, and we'll create it from a directory, and the directory is DayZ plants tree. Okay, and because we're including all subdirectories, it means we get 142 trees, including stumps. Now you can then go and select the item and then add object. You can do it one by one. But if you wanted to sketch out some forests, what you can do is, so I turned my shape off, didn't I? Shapes, turn it back on again. Make sure I'm in selection mode. So once that shape is selected, I can right click and fill, add new objects. Now once your library manager, once your template library is rather more full, this list will be colossally long, so you'll see what I mean about this being a beginner way to do it. So we just want some trees, don't we? And this is conifer, so we want, let's go the one you'll recognise. Let's have a load of nice fir trees, and I'll leave the rest at the defaults, and there it's put those objects in. I'll hide the shape so we can see it a little better. But you can see there that by drawing a shape, you can then fill it with objects. So let's do the same then. Let's create a new shape. This is what we should have done before, you see. Create a polygon on there. And then I can go to selection, select that shape, fill, add new objects, and this was broadleaf sparse, wasn't it? Beach, Vegas, that's beach, isn't it? I'm sure it is. Anyway, a load of those. Right, they're there. Let's hide that shape again. So that should be two patches of forest. A fir or a Christmas tree forest with a particular surface, and right next to it there should be a beach forest with a different surface. And both of those things are surrounded by this green surface and bordered by this other green surface. So when we go in game, we should be able to see 1, 2, 3, 4 different surfaces. And we did this by initially exporting a shape into GIMP, adding it to our surface mask layer, refresh from source, and then we reused the shapes to fill them with objects. Right, what did I say? 1, 2, 3, 4 different surface colours there. So when I go to processing, rebuild terrain, bit of an OCD, export satellite texture, normal map, surface mask. See, 4 materials per cell, 5 materials, 6 materials per cell. Now I reckon we're going to use 4, and your budget is 6, so we should be fine. If you exceed the number of surface layers in a particular area, that means someone in Livonia gets rained on for another 20 minutes. So just be careful with having your surface layers a bit too dense. So we're going to take this one all the way through to in-game, but that'll take a minute. So save that and file, export WRP to world. Okay, so my Kiro should all be set up same as last time, so should just be a case of crunch. I reckon 8 seconds. Oh, 7 seconds, not bad. And since the last video I've made myself a little batch file so that I don't have to copy the PBO from my DayZ folder to my mods and to my server. And if you remember, the server's already configured, so I've copied the mod over. So I'll start the server, and I'm going to cut it here because it takes ages now, but the next thing will be in-game, and hopefully we're looking at those 4 surfaces. There's your woods. See the lurid greens look in the background? That's the whole thing. So currently we're running on grass, regular grass, 128, 97 something, is it? But you see that shouldn't be green like that, should it? And then again, there's, look, that's where we edit out the humanity from the sat map, so that that could all just be green, and then it's your assets that go on there, not the sat map. Right, so we're on grass, and we should be going into broadleaf dense. So look, there, I mean, there it is. Look, the processing your surface mask, blending it in through your satellite image, and obviously then the light in game. Check this out. What? That model's called something underscore cut. Don't use that one. But look, broadleaf dense is kind of red with leaves. That's one. Grass. Two. And then conifer common. Bits of pine rather than red leaves. And we said there was another one, didn't we? Anyway, that's as good a way to end, isn't it? Merry Christmas.